Eagles. Eagles.
And welcome in, everybody, to a Football Friday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, John McMullen, here with you on a Football Friday before the Super Bowl 60 in Santa Clara, California. Feels like a snoozer so far. We'll see if it gets the big ratings.
Come on, Philadelphia.
On Sunday.
It's not a snoozer. It's gonna get phenomenal ratings just because it's a snoozer in Philadelphia. Because I've heard this a lot.
Oh, you thought you agree? It's been a snoozer.
No,
everywhere.
Absolutely not. It will be. I guarantee it will be the largest watched Super Bowl of all time.
Well, yeah,
I guarantee it.
I think so too. I mean,
then what are we talking about? What are we talking about?
I just feel like the surrounding hype of it, John, is not as big. Now, obviously, it's
Philadelphia-centric, man. Philadelphia-centric. It is a big. I'll tell you where it's a big fucking deal. Boston. It's a big fucking deal in Seattle.
Well,
it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And the rest of the NFL that isn't disappointed in their team.
This has not been as big of an event, though, man. Radio Row hasn't been as popping.
Now that is a criticism of the NFL because, for some bizarre reason, I don't know if people know, but San Francisco is not that close to Santa Clara. It's like an hour and a half to get everywhere. So they really fucked up the logistics of it because they have
miserable
the media center and Radio Row's downtown San Francisco, and all the stuff revolving the games an hour and a half away, but more in rush hour. It's absurd. Think about that. It's like almost driving from where I live in South Jersey to New York. And you got to do it every day to go back and forth with the teams, and the teams are in Santa Clara, and the stuff's in San Francisco. And if you're at Radio Row, you got to be in San Francisco every day, and then you got to figure out how to on the shuttle buses. You got to work out.
That's a catastrophe.
Yeah, I mean that's a league problem. But as far as look, I know most people don't care, but it's interesting to me because I've done a lot of TV rating stuff over the years. Nielsen has changed its methodology for ratings. What a fraud, man. Yeah, the NFL basically paid them to say, hey, we're more people. What a fraud that company is. But that's going to be a scandal one day. They already changed. They changed their methodology once. They had to change it again because everybody else was complaining so much. If that doesn't highlight what a fraud that company is, I don't know what will.
I get envelopes in the mail from them with like $1 bill inside. With $1 bill inside.
What a fraud. I can't, and people still take them seriously. I have no idea. Why. None. But anyway, I digress. It will be reported as the largest viewed Super Bowl of all time.
I agree with you. I think you're right. I think you're right. It just feels like there's not a lot of hype.
Well, in this town, there is zero hype. In this town.
You don't feel like it's around the league a little bit more?
Nope, not at all.
All right, good stuff. Super Bowl Sunday this weekend. Obviously, we'll talk a little bit about that game. We got an opened up show, so we'll take some super chats. A lot to talk about here in Eagle Land. A lot of turnover seems to be happening. John, yesterday the Eagles brought in another new coach. It didn't take them long to replace the run game coordinator for Jeff Stoutland. They brought in Ryan Mahaffey at the end of our show. We did talk about it briefly because the news broke right near the end of our program after John Stolnis got off. So they brought in Sean Mannion, 33 years old. They brought in Josh Grizzard, 35 years old. And now they have also brought in Ryan Mahaffey, 38-year-old, former wide receiver coach with Green Bay, former Packer assistant, worked with LaFleur for a little bit. Another guy with kind of people seem to like him a lot in the league. John, what do you make of how this coaching staff is building out so far?
Yeah, well, it's an indication everybody's getting what they wanted. I think that's the most important part, the most important clue that has been left here Everybody who wanted significant change, everybody who wanted to go more toward Kyle Shanahan offense, Sean McVay style offense, they're going to get their wish. At least they're going to try to do it. And they are highlighting to everybody, even to the point that Jeff Stoutland is out. Either get on board or get out. That's what they're highlighting. And yeah, get ready. Get ready, because if Jeff Stoutland can go, anybody can go.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So and that includes players. Get on board or they're going to go in a different direction.
John, there's some news that came out yesterday about Landon Dickerson. We got to talk about that. I'm reading right now. Mike Garafolo put this out. For those who don't know, Landon Dickerson might not be here as long as we probably thought he would be. Can't speak in certainties yet. We will see how it unfolds. Mike Garafolo tweeted this after Jeff McClain's podcast. He said, an offseason of significant change for the Eagles could include guard Landon Dickerson's uncertain future. Jeff McClain mentions here Dickerson's no certainty to return. I've heard some of the same. Only 27 and 5 years into his career, but his body has been through a lot. To be determined. Whoa! That's big there, John.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, look, I wouldn't panic yet, but we talked about the offensive line a lot, the injuries. I've been far more concerned with Landon Dickerson than Cam Jurgens. I've mentioned this numerous times. His comments after the playoff loss were particularly troubling. When he intimated, look, he has no idea if he's going to get healthy again. So I think the natural assessment, he's 27 years old. I think the natural assessment is Landon is going to bounce back and he's going to keep going. To me, the bigger question is, is he going to be able to recapture the same level or even close to the same level? Last year was difficult on him. I mean, difficult. And he played through a lot of stuff. And then you add the other layer, then now you have to add another. That was before. Now you have to add another layer of Jeff Stoutland leaving and the shift away from a running scheme that basically of all the offense, all their great offensive linemen, the one that fit the best was Landon Dickerson, I would argue. I mean, it fit him the best. Just a big, powerful
Mauler.
Yes, Mauler. Good adjective there. Tailor-made for him. So I think he's got a lot to think about. Ultimately, like I said, I don't think he's going to walk away. He loves Jordan Mailata. That's his best friend in the world. He loves Cam. He likes playing with them. But is he going to be back to the level he has been in the past? That is a big question mark. And if he does decide to walk away, I mean, he's already made a lot of money. If he does decide to walk away, it wouldn't surprise me either. But it's just one of those things as you go through a season, and especially as one is difficult. When it ends, you always feel like, boy. Because football is such a grind, you kind of feel like, do I really want to go through this again?
Yeah, right.
And then as you recharge the batteries, almost always they come back. So I'm not going to think he's going to retire at this point. But adding the change in Stoutland, that's just another aspect to it. But he went through a lot last season. That's why I've been consistently saying that. Because I get it from your perspective. You talked about Cam and back surgery is so uncertain. But Cam's kind of like, yeah, I'll be fine. But he needs some time. It's a process. Landon's like, he's just.
Yeah, he himself is uncertain.
Yeah. And he had so many injuries. And going back to college, with the reason he was a second-round pick and not a first-round pick is because he had 2 ACL tears. his knees are, they always do those estimates. He's probably got the knees of an 80-year-old.
Yeah, he I wonder how much he's thinking about the future too. I mean, he might not be able to walk in 10 years, man, 20 years if he keeps getting more of these injuries.
Yeah, and he just got
that's
married.
common for most NFL players. I mean, Silly talks about it all the time. He didn't play as long as a lot of some of these guys, like Landon did. He did play a long career, obviously, in pro and some of the other leagues. But I mean, he's like, I get out of bed and my body still creaks every day. I can barely walk. So that's a factor especially for these big dudes, these big lineman football players.
And he's a big dude.
He's a big dude, man.
Yeah.
And his wife's got him doing more house training. I know I keep bringing that up, but the more I hear about Landon, the more I'm like, why isn't she letting them get some rest?
Wow. And he's now
his football career might come to an end, man.
I'm not gonna blame his wife. I mean,
no, I'm not blaming her. I'm just laughing about it.
And then I got one asshole on social media goes down around. He was overweight, didn't take the off season seriously. Boy, these people, man. I mean, yeah, you got bad knees, you got a bad back, you got a bad, and and he can't work out the way, and you go straight to he's overweight. I mean, part of the reason he is who he is because he's so big and so powerful. It's like everybody's a freaking video game. But I will say the difference and a quick journalism standpoint, because Jeff is phenomenal, and I always say he's the best reporter that covering the Eagles. So, the podcast is different. When you see it in the Inquirer, it's real. The podcast is different. He's talking about the, and I haven't listened to it yet, and I'll listen to it. But he hasn't reported he's thinking about retirement yet. He's giving you the context of what I've been giving you on this show, that he was freaking banged up and he went through a lot and he's got a lot to think about. That's where we are with Landon Dickerson.
Man, big update on Landon Dickerson. We will see what ends up happening with Landon. Obviously, a key component to this football team. John, now you got to envision a world, and I don't think we have to go there yet, but potentially no Landon. Now, I think he'll be back. I'm with you, but how long? No Jeff Stoutland. I mean, John, the crux of this team, I mean, we talk about how this has been the best 10-year run in franchise history, the best decade. Jeffrey Lurie this, Jeffrey Lurie that. The whole run was built on the O-line, dude. The whole thing. Both Super Bowls were won on the O-line. All the success, all the wins. Everything is built on the offensive line. Why does it feel like it's being neglected? Now, Landon is obviously a different circumstance. That's not neglected. That's just a player that's banged up. But, man, it feels like starting with Stoutland and the way this is unfolding, it doesn't feel like they're prioritizing the right thing to me.
Well, I mean, again, you can't have it both ways. Like, everybody wanted them to change their offensive philosophy and change their offensive scheme, and I get it because it was ugly. And by all indications and everything I hear behind the scenes, you're getting it. You are getting it.
I know. It does seem like that.
And part of that is you have to shift to more of a Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay style running game. And that means what it means with Jeff Stoutland, as we already saw. That means you're going in with a different approach that doesn't necessarily on paper fit what you have because you built it up for the other approach. Like, and I'm not in San Francisco, obviously, but there's a lot of rumblings out there that this is from the top, this is Jeffrey. Like, we're changing, and get on board or don't get on board.
So you think it is Jeffrey?
Well, I can't speak conclusively because I'm not there, but I've heard it from a number of people. So people around the league think it's Jeffrey.
And who do you think Jeffrey puts the pressure on?
Well,
who's the pressure point? Is it the quarterback? Is it the coach? Who is it?
I think everybody, but the first scapegoat would certainly be Nick. Yes. Now,
so this whole setup, all right, that's happening, John. They're clearly building out this West Coast offense staff. Mannion, Mahaffey, all right, Grizzard, Sirianni as the head coach, Young, whatever, the whole whatever adjective you want to use to describe it. All right, is it Nick or is it the ownership and the front office
changing philosophy?
Yes, the whole thing. Is this Nick's? Like Nick, Nick hired the coach. They put it out that Nick fired Patullo. This entire shift, is this Nick Sirianni trying to put his team in a better position to elongate his career and his, stay as head coach? Is this an organizational thing?
It's a difficult question to answer because nobody's going to be honest about it. But, if you ask me my opinion, if you had sodium pentothal, if you had truth serum, I do not think that Nick would have went this direction. That's just my thought. That's not, but I've tried to explain over the years that I think he's more politically savvy than somebody like Doug Peterson. I think he sees things before they happen, before they unfold, and I think he gets ahead of it. So, I do think he hired these people, but I think he knew he had to fire, and he hasn't fired anybody technically. I think he knows he had to move on from certain people, and that's just not that he wanted to do it, but he was politically savvy enough to know he had to do it because at some point it would have been declared. I don't think it had to be declared because he got ahead of it.
The coach with the best resume, the coach with more experience than all of them, the coach who has been
the coach who beats them most of the time. He didn't beat Kyle Shanahan, so
I'm talking about Stoutland. I mean, I still can't get over Stoutland. I mean, he's the guy that has all the experience. He's the guy. He was like the adult in the room. He was the one that made me feel comfortable with the way everything was going because he was the constant. And now you alienate him. John, I'll tell you what, I don't care if it's the owner or if it's Nick. They better be right. I mean, now Jeff Stoutland's out the door in favor of a 33-year-old OC. Well, I hope this guy knows what he's doing.
Well, you can't run the Shanahan offense with Jeff Stoutland. So, I think people have to look inward. What do they want? What do they really want? Now the Eagles were going to bring him back as the offensive line coach and take away that run coordinator responsibility. And I shouldn't use take away because he kind of, from what I understand, he kind of gave it up. By the way, that's, another thing Jeff said, which we talked about, the players were on board with that, by the way. Because you how many times you hear Jordan Mailata talk about being under center? We need to be under center more.
Yeah, right.
So a lot of the players were on board with that because they knew it wasn't working. People were selling out. People understood, well, if Saquon Barkley's offset in the gun, he doesn't have options, and they just, basically the chaos theory, and started upsetting things behind the line of scrimmage. And if you want to be honest, the running game significantly improved after they started going under center. Not nearly what it was the year prior, but so it did improve. and Saquon Barkley was a lot better. Remember how bad he was early in the season, the first 7-8 games, where he's 3.4 yards per carry?
Yep.
And then it significantly improved. Again, to me, a lot of that had to do with the injuries to Landon that we're talking about, to Cam, to Lane eventually. So there's more than just going under center as the magic fix, but everybody was pretty much on board with they had to do that, at least more. And Jeff doesn't want to do that. So
all right, so it's changing directions. Where do you think the pressure lies the most? Is it on Nick Sirianni? Do you think Jalen Hurts is on the same type of hot seat as Nick? Do you think Jalen is a longer leash than Nick would? I mean, it feels to me like they would blow Nick out well before they'd blow Jalen out. I mean, I could see them.
Yeah, I mean, that's
and the whole offensive staff, and then recreating another staff with Jalen. Still, I could see that.
They're both on the clock, but Nick's is a shorter clock, shorter time frame, no doubt. But Jalen's now on the clock as well. Jalen's got the same message, get on board or we're going to go in a different direction. It's just much harder to go in a different direction at quarterback than it is at head coach. Because A, it's tougher to find a quarterback. B, you have more financially invested in a quarterback. And the quarterback is more high profile. So, think about it. If at this point, you have the two dueling camps, the Jalenites and the people that hate Jalen Hurts. But think about the Jalenites if you decide to move on from Jalen Hurts. That would be quite the scene. So it's much more difficult to move on from a quarterback who's had success than a coach who's had success. And that's why Nick will be the first to go if they don't fix this thing. But Jalen will soon to follow.
You think there's a chance that this is the last year for both of them?
No, I don't think it would be the last year for.
Like it would be the last year for Nick if it doesn't work.
Yes,
right?
yes,
agreed.
And then it's really getting close, and you're basically wasting a season if you fire Nick Sirianni, bring in another completely new coaching staff, and what are you going to do? Go back to the old method?
No, that's not what they're going to do.
So
it's stiff, and they're going to.
It's basically a race to find the succession plan at quarterback at that point.
Which means Howie Roseman would be doing work on that already.
Yeah, well, Howie's talking about everything all the time. Like, the Joe Shane, I always talk about it, this stuff, and why nobody wants to go on off-season Hard Knocks because they fucked him by editing that incorrectly.
Wait, what part of it was
Joe Shane talking about moving on from Saquon?
And yeah, the famous clip.
Clip. And they edited it just incorrectly. And they kind of fucked him. Not to say he made the right decision. Well, I did think he made the right decision for the Giants, but because Saquon, what's he going to do for a shitty team?
Yeah,
But they edited it completely. It was abysmal. It was unprofessional the way they edited for the clip, for the hype part of it, and then they showed the actual clip, which was more in context, but nobody pays attention to the actual clip, and the damage is already done. But if people heard the discussions and the way they talk about their favorite player, I mean, everything is broached. And that's why nobody wants it on camera. Everything is broached.
Right. They're doing a job. That's what they got to do. They're paid a lot of money to do a job. I mean, that's obvious.
Exactly.
It just feels
they're not sitting there glazing all their players. They're like,
no, but there is some favorites, right? I mean, there is some people that have longer leashes. There is some people that or the Golden Boys, whatever you want to call them. And I'm not speculating on who they are.
There's legitimate superstar players who are like, well, I'm not, that guy's in the prime of his career. And
don't you think Jeffrey Lurie thinks that about Jalen Hurts?
No, not anymore.
Really?
No.
I've always been under the impression that Jeffrey Lurie really likes Jalen.
I think I do think he really likes him. But he's in that category of you better get on board.
Okay.
There are very few. Like Lane Johnson, has reached a level where hopefully he comes back, and if he comes back, everything's go. Even AJ's getting those discussions now. Obviously, they've had a million discussions about AJ. Now they got to talk seriously about Landon Dickerson. I'm sure they already have been, because they know better than anyone else what he went through last season. Yeah, you have these. Saquon had a bad. I guarantee they've had those discussions, which would, I think, upset some people. Yeah, no, very few people are off limits. And I think at one point Jalen Hurts was off limits, but no longer.
I'm surprised to hear that. I thought for sure that Jalen would still be in that category. I mean, remember, being the quarterback of a football team is a lot bigger than just playing the position. These are, $10 billion franchises.
Oh, they love him as a person.
Yeah, but as a representative of the organization. Yeah, that stuff matters too.
Yeah, but that's secondary. If you don't win.
Wins.
All that stuff is great.
He does win, though.
Yeah, again, to their level, yes.
He was pretty good. I mean, I'll criticize.
Look, I'm the first one to say everybody thinks 11 wins is 5 wins, but that's where we are, and they're trying to win the whole thing.
Well, you're not going to win the whole thing every year. You could have Joe Burrow. You could have Josh Allen.
Yeah, I know. I'm just answering your question. The fact that that stuff is great. That's awesome. But they're trying to win the Super Bowl, and I think they're really, really disappointed. And your big point about there being less juice about the Super Bowl, I don't think that's the case in league wide, but I think in Philadelphia, and I'm not even talking about the fans now, I think with the Eagles, they're like, man, we had a golden opportunity to go back, because they look at Seattle and New England and say, these are not great teams. And they say, man, we wasted an opportunity. That's where I think Jeffrey Lurie is. I think everybody's in the crosshairs. Everybody, including the quarterback. So, yeah, I think
that would surprise me greatly. Not that it would be longer than a year, but like if this year's the year, that would surprise me. For Joe.
No, I didn't say this year is the year. I said it, but if it goes wrong this year, Nick's out. And then you're going to reboot it with Jalen Hurts? That's a waste of another season. I think one day he'll wake up and think that. So, they've highlighted to everybody basically that we're doing this, get on board. So the quarterback's got to get on board, which, by the way, I think is wrong. I plainly stated this. I not only think it's wrong, I think it's dumb. And I don't often say that about the Eagles, because even when I disagree with them, I generally see their thought process and I say that, all right, that makes some sense. I just disagree with it. I don't think this makes sense. And I've said it, and I'll continue to say it until they prove they can do it. If they prove they can do it, Just as similar as I didn't like the way they completely scaled back risk averse wise in 2024, but it worked. So I gave them credit. If this works, I will give them credit. But on paper, it doesn't make sense. You get every coach compartmentalized. Just talk to them one-on-one. They'll all tell you the same thing. What I've been talking about all the time with Larry Karras and Nick Sirianni, and Nick has said it a million times. I don't give a shit what you want to run. Take advantage of what you have with the players. And now all of a sudden it's like, we're doing this. How does that make sense to anybody?
Well, because it feels to me that the reason that I wondered if it's Nick leading the charge, and I always knew that what the owner liked and desired, but I do think Nick feels like it's basically you're almost like your days are numbered, and it's like I can back myself into the corner with the same offense, which feels like it's condensing in the pipe. The pipe feels like it's going to burst. There's not a lot of ways to go. Feels like defenses have figured out what they're trying to do. Take away the deep pass, and you can stack the box. Take away the run game. They're not all that prolific of an offense outside of that. They're very risk averse. They're not the hardest offense to slow down for defenses. So I think Nick was more looking at it like, well, I'm going to get fired either way. Let me at least extend, try and get to the big oak tree. We're the small little tree that only one team plays our way. The oak tree is the NFL, where everybody's hiring the McVay and the Shanahan and the offenses and all of these spread stuff. Every team wants to play like that. So I think Nick is trying to look at it like, if I can get to that, at least the boom potential of that is a lot higher than the boom potential of my offense, where I just reached the Super Bowl. People still hated it. I just won the Super Bowl. People still hated it.
Yeah, but that's what, I'm like, I would, and it's easier said than done, and you can't do it because it's a public-facing industry and your owner's not on board. That's the problem. Like, I bring this up all the time. It's like, all right, you want to be like everybody else? Then it becomes who's best at that. Are you going to be better at this than Kyle Shanahan?
Not even close. You'll be lucky to be anywhere in his ballpark.
Exactly. So why not try, as Howie said, to zig when everybody else is zagging? That's how they won. Now it becomes who does it best. Are you going to be better? The margins
were small enough to be,
But they won.
They won, but that would be now two seasons ago going into this year.
Are you going to be better at this than Sean McVay?
No, I don't think so. But do you have a better roster than Sean McVay? Can you do the other things better than Sean McVay that boost your chances?
Well, they already have. They already have. But I kind of look at the framework as very ordinary, and I try to hammer that word because if it gets back to Jeffrey, it'll hit him hard. He doesn't want to be ordinary, and he's fucking ordinary when it comes.
He's listening. He's listening.
When it comes to this kind of stuff, he is ordinary. He is just not forward thinking.
I generally like Jeffrey Lurie in terms of, I think he's a phenomenal.
I think he's the best owner in the NFL.
I think he does a lot of good things well. I don't agree with him on everything, but I think for the most part, he does a lot of things well. My suggestion to Jeffrey Lurie, not that he would ever take it or has a reason to take it. All right. He's far more successful than I am. You used the word to describe him the other day. I think you used suggestive. Is that right? Is that the word you used to describe him?
Mm-hmm.
I think he should couch that. I mean, if you're the owner and you want it to be a way, walk in there and put your foot down and say it. I mean, why are you don't make people guess. And I don't know if he is. Maybe he is being more blunt about it. But be blunt, state what you want and why you want it, and then let Howie and Nick go to work and filling in those cracks. Now, maybe he's done that, but I don't think being suggestive in this time is a good way to do it. That's just my
perspective. He doesn't want to be overbearing.
Yeah, but when you're suggestive and you're not overbearing, but everybody knows what you want to the point where they placate to it anyway.
Well, I don't think he thinks that.
Difference? There's no difference, though.
I don't think he thinks that.
Well, you just said a couple minutes ago you think Nick made the change, not if he had whatever drug you said if he was on, he wouldn't want to do this. Well, why is he
Yeah,
doing
well,
it?
that's again, that's my speculation.
Yeah,
This is
which
all
is yeah,
this is
not
this is all speculation. From the standpoint of if you had a gun to my head, and I would, that's what I would tell you. I think Nick is doing it to placate Jeffrey. That's what I would tell you. Now, my also, if you told me, I think from Jeffrey's perspective, he thinks, everybody agrees with me. I bring up the Doug Peterson story all the time for a reason. When they upset Green Bay, when Green Bay was great and Aaron Rodgers was still at the height, and they upset him, and he went to his meeting in Green Bay at Lambeau, and they went in, and he went into this meeting, and Jeffrey asked, why are you running it so much? And Doug's like, what the fuck? We just upset Green Bay in Green Bay. And it's like, and I don't even think Jeffrey meant anything by it other than that's his nature, and he's a questioner, and he likes to ask questions. But he is who he is. I don't think he realizes he is who he is to his employees to a certain extent. And when he suggests something, and that's why I use that word, it carries more weight than if I suggest something or you suggest something. And him suggesting something isn't like
a suggestion. It's passive aggressive is what it is.
But I don't even know if he knows it. I don't know him well enough.
That's what I mean. Like, you can't be so
when you're
the billionaire owner of the football team. Come on, man.
Well, that's the point. When you're a billionaire owner of a football team, you're in a different world, and everybody, and it becomes your reality. It's different. I don't even think he knows it. But I always say he's the best owner in the NFL, and I continue to say that because there's a lot of bad owners in the NFL. But he's not a football expert, and when he delves into football stuff, I don't like it. Now I'll say he has every right to do it. It's his team; he can do whatever he wants, but it's not going to end well. That's my perspective on that. As far as
a good opening segment here, John. I tell you what, I didn't feel great about the Eagles after what happened, the last couple of days. I'm starting to feel worse and worse. When is this going to end? How much lower can we go here? I mean, now we potentially, I don't think it's going to be true, maybe for either of them, but it is potentially that Lane Johnson and Landon Dickerson are not here next year, along with Jeff Stoutland. Now, I think they're going to be back, and I think it'll be better than that.
I think Lane's going to be back. I think Landon's going to be back. And I'm starting to go back to under 50% for AJ. I think there's
under meaning he's going to be here.
Well, I've been 52-48 that he's gone. Now I'm sort of like 52-48 that he's back.
Okay. All right.
So I think there's way too many. It's February 6th. Like, this is a constant thing. I think this is where Philadelphia does hurt the Eagles. And it's not, doesn't have anything to do with the fans. There's such a passionate base of people, and they're constantly, look at us. We do a show called Birds 365. We're talking about this team year round, and it's been sustainable to the point where I don't know how many years we've been doing it. Close to 5.
5 years, yep.
5 years. And how many Eagles shows have popped up in that time? How much? We didn't have all this competition when we started this.
No, it's true. Yeah, it's true.
How many have popped up?
Show grew 20% in the last year, John.
Yeah. That's what I'm most proud of. How many have popped up to copy what we do? With bigger budgets, by the way, and still we beat most of them for viewership.
It's true.
So I'm spiking the football there a little bit, but But I only bring that up because it's the passion of this fan base and the passion, and they're constantly like, this shit happens everywhere when it comes to guys who are contemplating retirement, but nobody talks about it because it's February 6th. In Philadelphia, it's front page news. Like Landon Dickerson told you after the loss to San Francisco, he told everybody, you saw the stories, you saw the video. He had a really difficult season. And he's going to recede back in a normal city. He would recede back into, mowing the lawn, going to Lowe's with his wife, and he'd probably recharge the batteries, and it wouldn't even be that much of a hiccup. This is where Philadelphia does hurt the organization a little bit because they're always under such a microscope, and normal things are turned into bigger than they really are.
But can I just ask you this? I mean, and I appreciate your point, and I think it's correct. With Landon Dickerson, like, is this being made too big? He's 27 years old, and you've talked about how bad the injuries are. And if he walks away, I mean, that's not going to be that easy to replace. So is it an overreaction, or is it just an overreaction from a sense of we have no idea if he's going to be back or not? But I think even uncertainty is a big story here.
Well, it is a big – I'm not saying it's not a big story. I mean, it's a very good player, 3-time Pro Bowl player before last season. It's very good players. If he walks away at 27, and more people walk away early because they make so much money, more people do walk away early now. So I'm by no means am I trying to downplay it as a possibility. But I think it's normal things with injured players around the NFL who's had a bunch of injuries. It's not abnormal. And to me, the biggest question is, ultimately, I think he's going to come back. We'll see. That's dependent upon the doctors and how he feels and all that stuff. The bigger question to me is he going to play at the same level because of those injuries? And now you're shifting schemes on top of it, which, again, on paper, he's one of the guys who don't necessarily fit into what you want to do from a traits and a playing standpoint. He should be in what he was in when he was a 3-time Pro Bowl player. Power scheme, combo, duo, get to the second level. How many blocks in the 2,000-yard Saquon season at the second level did you see from Landon Dickerson? And that stupid tush push that everybody so loved and so shit on everybody.
It's been awful.
That beat the living shit out of Landon Dickerson, who was the key to it all. But they're not real people. They're video games. Well, guess what? His MRI says that fucked him up, amongst other things. MRIs.
Yeah, right. Better pluralize that.
So, but this is, these I don't want to say they're common at 27, but there's a long history. Luke Kuechly just made the Hall of Fame. He left early.
Yeah, he did. He was amazing, Luke Kuechly. He was a great player.
I remember Chris Borland. For people that remember him, he was a rookie who certainly was in the defensive rookie of the year. He had a really good rookie season. Just walked away. Now he was more concerned about. That's when the CTE stuff was really getting a lot of publicity and, almost scaring people. And he decided to walk away when he had his health. I talk about Sharif Floyd because he's a Philly kid all the time. He was turning into a really good player. And he had knee surgery and they nicked a nerve and he was done. It's a tough sport, and he's gone through a lot. But And look, if he decides to walk away, the silver lining to that would be, well, I don't know if he fits the scheme anyway.
We'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. A lot of change for this football team potentially this summer, and we will see how they come out of it. John, plenty of other topics we're going to get into today. I do want to hit on some super chats. We got to talk about this scheme change. All right, they're changing the scheme, everybody. We just got a comment a couple seconds ago, John. I'm going to read to you because it might not be true anymore. You used to say, John, when we would talk about the offense, all right, what was the number one thing you used to say when we would talk about the offense, as inept as it would look in some weeks? You used to say one thing. This is what you got to do on the offense. What was it?
Improve the running game.
Yep, that's it. That's what you said every week. And in a way, you were right. So RMP checks in. He says, Eagles have to get back to running the ball. That's the easiest fix to it all. Is that still true? I mean, if they're changing the scheme, you got to run the ball. Don't get me wrong. I understand you got to run the ball, but hey, maybe how much they ran last year would have been perfectly good in the Shanahan in the new system that they're running.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's married together. And I think it's easy to say if you run the ball well, you're going to be better, which you are. It's the difference between the Eagles in 2024 and 2025, at least from an efficiency standpoint. You're going to be better in the passing game. But yeah, if you want to run that scheme, you can't just revert back to what you were in 2024. And my issue, and I wrote about this before Stoutland left, I'm like, because it was told to me, yeah, they're going in that direction. I'm like, is that the proper scheme for Saquon Barkley? Is that the proper scheme for Landon Dickerson? Is that the proper scheme for Jordan Mailata, Lane Johnson? I think Cam will have no problems with it. He's a movement-based player if he's healthy. Tyler Steen, I think he'll be fine. He can toggle back and forth. Like I said, everybody's like, well, take Caden Proctor at 23. I don't think you can even consider Caden Proctor now. If you're truly going to that.
Right.
It changes so much.
And now you don't have the O-line coach to coach him up. Now, I'm not saying Jeff's completely 100% irreplaceable, but I'm pretty sure the next guy's not going to be as good as he was.
That's where I think people – he doesn't want to coach it, and you don't want him coaching it.
No, I'm not talking about that part of it. I'm saying he's gone. So you got to coach O-lineman. Is he going to coach him up as good as Jeff Stoutland did? Whatever, regardless of scheme.
Well – but that factors into it if you're hyper conscious, and this is why I don't like being hyper conscious about scheme. Because if you're going to play a scheme through hell or high water, and it seems like the Eagles are going that way, and that was my biggest concern. Well, I think you're doing things backwards. And ultimately, I still, I should have mentioned that when we were talking about Nick. I still think from Nick's perspective, and again, speculation, I want to make that clear. I think he thinks, as a very politically savvy person, I think he thinks, I'll jump through the hoops in the off season. And remember, it's February 6th or whatever. And I'll get to the season. And then it's about winning the game and everybody on board. Whatever I have to do to win a game and everybody will get on board. I think that's the way he thinks. And that in the past, that's proven to be true with Kellen Moore, because they came in with that same mindset. Well, we're going to do it differently. And they didn't. They tried, but they didn't.
Going to be interesting to see what ends up happening. I want to thank everybody for being here today. Good opening segment, 49-minute long opening segment. All right, so I appreciate all you being here. We're going to get to our super chats right now. And then I got a big topic for hour 2, one that I think could create some debate in the chat. We will see what you guys think of it. All right, appreciate you guys all being here today. Theo Bear, what's up, Theo? Our first super chat of the day was from Theo. He said this: Cosell said his sources said Lurie was pissed and that they are challenging Jalen with this new offense. No more coddling of the quarterback.
Well, I don't know what Greg said, but I'm on board that they've told everybody that this is the way we're going. So get on the train or don't get on the train. But if you don't get on the train, you're going to be left at the station. So that's how I kind of take it. I don't think Jalen's ever been coddled. I don't think that's fair. But yeah, I mean, look, on paper, this does not seem to be the offense that fits Jalen Hurts. Now, I know there's a lot of people that think he can do whatever he wants if he sets his mind to it. And maybe they're right. And you're going to see if that's what I'm doing, I would go in a different direction.
We'll talk more about that, John, in hour number 2 here. Here's Riot. What's up, Riot? Yo, J-Mac, you got a shout out on the Jim Cornette podcast regarding an article you posted on Twitter about the Tony Khan, Nick Piccolo situation.
Yeah, that's a shit show, by the way.
I'm not sure what it is. You'd have to let me know.
Tony is obviously Tony's Tony. He, owns AEW for people that don't know, the wrestling company, which is sort of like, the number 2 brand, the Pepsi to WWE's Coke, so to speak, although, that's giving them too much credit, but
yeah, Pepsi's a little bigger. Yeah, for sure.
But, challenger brand, as Tony would describe it. Nick is an agent who's very outspoken, Eagles fan, by the way, huge Eagles fan, who, reps everybody from CM Punk to Drew McIntyre to Tiffany Stratton, a lot of high profile people in the industry. Liv Morgan, he's an agent. He's an agent for all those people and many others, including Roman Reigns, the biggest star in the business. And they don't like each other. And Nick spends a lot of his time ripping Tony. Now, Tony generally stays above it, as he should, as the owner. But there are underlings who, it's ugly. And he's made a lot of accusations about burner accounts and Brian Colangelo-like stuff. So I did get information that he tried to get Nick fired. And I said, to me, that's a story, but I don't cover wrestling. So it's not like, so I put it on my Twitter, but I got the information and you can read the story on Twitter if you want to. It's very complicated, but basically Tony or somebody close to Tony got Bernie Cahill, who's a big time Hollywood agent, to try to get Nick fired. And the way I looked at it, if this were the NFL, it's like Jerry Jones trying to get Drew Rosenhaus fired. That's a story. That'd be a story.
Right.
So I gotta, and that's why I wrote the story. That's why it's a big story. But yeah, wrestling people are crazy. I think Eagles fans are crazy. My God. Wrestling
fans are savage. There's no doubt.
Oh my God. And they don't like that I went after Tony, who I like, and he knows I like personally. And I think he's a good
guy. Wait, are you in the crosshairs because of this too?
Oh God, yeah. But it's funny because I went to Raw on Monday night. Raw was in Philly on Monday night. So I went to Raw Monday night, and full disclosure, because I was invited. I was invited by WWE, not because of that. Had nothing to do with that.
No, you have a lot of connections in that industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, somebody from AEW contacted me after the story came out, who's also a very good person. And I explained why I wrote the story, why it's a story. And when they're in Philly, I'm going to go to AEW. So you have this big tribalistic fan base, who, WWE is obviously huge. I mean, but you got a lot of and you got a lot of AEW hardcore fans. It's like the hardest of hardcore Eagles fans who just, if you say one bad thing about them, will shit on you to no end. So that's where we are. But it's a big story.
AEW super fan. It's like being a Mets super fan.
But there's a lot of them.
I know. It's funny though. The WWE is actually sick. I'm not even a wrestling guy. WWE is a sick brand. It's huge.
Yeah, it's a monster.
Watching their production. I'm a production guy. I love live production. I mean, watching WWE's production with the lights and the fire, it's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's a monster brand. But yeah, so it created some controversy. Look, you can't, if you're an owner, you can't try to silence an agent, even if the agent is being unfair to you. You can't do it.
Yeah, that's bad luck. Wow, interesting. I'm going to have to get the follow-up on that story. Here's our gravy. Eagles are a circus. Fire lame duck Sirianni now. Lame duck. Oh, man. It does feel a little bit like he's a lame duck. I'm not going to lie. Now, he could be successful and not be.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, lame duck to me means you got 1 year left on your contract, and which very rarely, even dumb organizations don't do that with head coaches anymore because too much can go wrong. But a lot, as we've seen this year, bigger than most. If you don't perform in the NFL, people are very impatient, and so I don't think he's a literal lame duck, but yeah, if he doesn't perform this season, he's probably out.
Gravy, thanks for the super. Here's Gravy again. Reports that Landon Dickerson considering retirement per the Philly Inquirer ? Yeah, so Gravy, we did talk about that extensively in the opening segment. But yeah, pretty crazy. Landon Dickerson could be. I don't think he will, but.
Yeah, it's all dependent, and we've talked about it a lot on this show, and we've debated, and I've mentioned Landon pretty consistently. It was troubling the way he talked after the loss to San Francisco, and he's clearly, and seeing him all season, he had a very, very difficult season from a health standpoint. Started in training camp when he went down at the open practice on Lincoln Financial Field, and we were all concerned it might be a season-ending injury.
Right.
He went from one injury to another. He had a knee, he had an ankle, he had a back. It was just everything. And he had a very difficult season. So he's got to recharge the batteries and figure out where he is health-wise. Anybody could retire for health purposes in this league at any point because it's a dangerous league still.
Put a percentage on it, John.
I'm at 70-30. He'll be back.
30 is still pretty good. So he could be gone for a 27-year-old. I mean,
all right, I'll go 80-20. I'm doing
80-20. Well, I don't want. I mean, hey, you stick.
I think he's going to be back. I think I've seen this a lot where people have difficult seasons because of injuries, and they feel like they don't want to do this ever again. And they go, like I said, that's the difference between Philadelphia and somewhere else. You recede into the background, and you get better, and you recharge the batteries, and you say, all right, I'm ready to go. I think that's going to happen here, but I don't have his x-rays or his MRIs either. There was a reason he was drafted in the second round instead of the first round, because he came into this with 2 ACLs and probably everyone realizing this guy was going to have a shorter shelf life than other people because of injury concerns.
Still was worth it, man, for the time we've had with him. He's been pretty damn amazing as a player.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Here's Vitality. What's up, Vitality? Good to see you, brother. Hope you're doing well. Feeling like we're going to roll out a similar roster for a couple of years in this new system that's not built for the rock, or for, I think you meant for the scheme, in hopes it all works out. Probably going to get worse before it gets better.
Well, I'm still of the mentality that Nick is rope-a-doping these people. And when he gets to Sunday, week 1, if it's on the Sunday, you get the point, though. He's going to try to win the game. He's never deterred from that mindset. And I think he'll revert back to that mindset.
Well, we will see. Should be interesting. What are your thoughts on if they do switch? What Vitality is saying here about basically the roster's not built for what they're trying to change to?
Well, yeah, I've said that a dozen times already. I don't understand it. It's not you've gotten this core collection of players to build in what you're doing, and you've done a very good job with it. Unfortunately, defensively, it's worked. So nobody talks about the defense, understandably so. But it did when that small McFangio retirement wind blew through.
Yeah.
And people started bringing up, well, they're talking to Jim Schwartz. I was saying, well, why do you want Jim Schwartz? I love Jim Schwartz. Anybody who knows, I think he's great, but he plays a different style, and you've just built this high group of people to play Vic's style. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Well, that's what's going on offense. You built this group to be the run heavy. Like, to me, I get nobody likes it. I get it. I get it's not aesthetic. I get it's not pretty. But to me, you instead of ripping out the whole furnace, you just make one tweak and say, all right, let's not be quite risk averse and see how that works. And also get the offensive line healthy and run the ball better. And be a little bit less risk averse, and I think you're right back to winning 13 games, and you're in the conversation with the best teams in football that are going to play on Sunday. Now you're trying to be better at what Kyle Shanahan does than Kyle Shanahan. What's that? Like, I have a big logic problem from the standpoint of the average person. Like, what about that makes sense? That's like somebody going out and getting the Sean Mannion of defense and saying, go do what Vic does and be better at it than Vic. Which you already tried with Sean Desai.
Yeah, it didn't work so well.
I'm not saying, because now people will say, I think Sean Mannion is Sean Desai. But you get my point. I don't
absolutely get your point.
I don't like copycats. I've never liked copycats. Give me the original.
The problem is, how many ways are there to do it? How many ways?
There's a lot more ways to do it than Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay, which the whole fucking league seems to think is the only way to do it. You're in the groupthink mindset now, and that's the last
or they
place
think it's
you
the
want
best
to be.
way, not the only way. They think it's the best way. And hey, I don't, maybe they're not.
Where's
right,
the logic in that? That's what I'm asking. Where's the logic in that? If it is the best, it might be the best way, because I've said for years now that Kyle Shanahan is by far the best play designer in football. And number 2 is not close. Same thing I say about Vic on defense. Best in the business, and number 2 is not close. So, all right, if you can get me Kyle Shanahan, I'm on board. If you can't, I'm going to try to figure out something that works for me, which the Eagles had done, and now they're shifting into groupthink. Well, we got to do it this way, which is ironic to me, because they've had more success, team success.
Right. We'll see if it works, Vitality. John, good stuff there. Here's Pin. What's up, Pin? Lurie and Howie will get a dose of reality with Stoutland's departure. Their success was not solely based on managing the cap and contract extensions.
Well, I mean, I would ask Pin 9617. Did you want them to change the offense? You did. Most people do in this chat. I'm not saying it by all means. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if you wanted them to change the offense, Jeff wasn't on board with where they were going with the offense. So, which do you want?
Pin, thank you, brother. Appreciate the super chat. Here is Fleming. What's up, Ryan? Fleming. Current personnel running this scheme without turnovers is not likely. The front office is putting both knee pad Nick and Jalen Hurts to the fire, Jalen writes.
Knee pad Nick. Yeah, I don't think it fits the quarterback. I don't think it fits the running back. I don't think it fits the offensive line. But other than that, I'm sure it'll be fine.
We'll see what happens. Here's Shady Westbrook. What's up, Shady? Risk averse is coddling Jalen. So he disagrees with you saying that you don't think they coddle Jalen.
I don't think Jalen wants to be that risk averse. Coddling to me is, we have a different definition of coddling. Coddling to me is you're acquiescing to what the player wants to do. Coddling is Joel Embiid, and what the Sixers have done with him. And even though he's playing phenomenal, which I never thought would happen again, so I give him credit, but they've coddled him throughout his career. You're assuming coddling is protecting him from turnovers. I just think the Eagles believe that if they don't turn the ball over, they're going to win. And I think it's unfair, and I've said it pretty consistently to Jalen Hurts, if anything. And I don't think unfair is part of coddling.
We'll see. Shady, good stuff. Appreciate the super. Here's William. William, what's up, man? Thanks for the $20 super chat. Fellas, if, and I'm saying if, Jalen doesn't want to run and they want to protect their $50 million investment by not running so much, what do you do but go full steam ahead? There really isn't no way around it. We'll see.
Well, number one, whomever is responsible for Jalen Hurts is not running. And I can't get a clear answer to that. That person or persons has to be convinced that if they want to win at the highest level, that's got to be put back into the equation, period. And if it's about protecting your investment, well, you're going to blow it all anyway, because you're going to move on and you're going to eat the dead money to move on. So, take advantage of the shelf life when you have the shelf life. That's how I look at it.
All right, good stuff there. William. Gravy, what's up, Gravy? Name one Philly sports team with a bright future. Oh, no.
Who has the brightest future? Well, the Flyers, Zander can talk about the Flyers. I'm not a hockey guy, but obviously they're not doing well. Sixers have some nice talent, young talent, but Joel, I can't believe in him long term from a health perspective. So, I mean, once he does leave, whenever that is, or can't play, I don't think that's great. The Phillies are sort of stuck in, they're a good team, not a great team. And they're never going to get past the Dodgers. Although I don't think, supposedly Armageddon's coming in baseball, and they're going to, and we lost Zander. We'll see if that's my end of the bargain or his. And I'm sorry about the double screen, but hopefully he can jump back on pretty quickly. But I'll keep going. The Phillies to me look like, if there is Armageddon in baseball, that, and there's a salary cap and things become more even, and the Dodgers can't do what the Dodgers are doing, I think the Eagles are probably the closest. The Phillies are probably the closest. I said, I don't like the way the Eagles are going from the standpoint of changing their philosophy, which we talked a lot about this show. I don't think it fits the talent they have, but in football, remember, you can change the talent really quickly. It doesn't look optimal right now, but it can become optimal. So I think the Eagles have the front office that has proven that they could pivot in getting back, because remember, if you go back to Super Bowl 52, and then you talk about Super Bowl 57 and Super Bowl 59, you know, you have different coaches, different quarterbacks, a tremendous turnover in talent. So yeah, I think the Eagles have proven that they can pivot the best. But the problem is you're going to have some lean times. It may only be a year. It may only be 2 years, but I think the Eagles have proven that they can get back into it. And Zander's tweeting me. His internet dropped. I can get rid of the graphic. I'm doing stuff on the air. I can get rid of the graphic in the brand section. Now, I'll tell this to people who are listening. Zander presumes I know what the hell he's talking about with the brand section. So that is not something that he's the producer of this thing, not me. So I have no idea how to remove that part of it. But yeah, we'll keep going. So our gravy 7305, which is, this is a shit show at the Buck Factory, which I do think things get overblown in Philadelphia. I think that's a real thing. I think that's, and again, I talked about it a little bit with the reason this show exists, the reason Jeff is doing podcasts now, the reason, you know, a lot of these other shows have popped up because you guys, the fan base, is so passionate. You want this constant stream of Eagles news, which is great, but it creates this extra layer of, you know, angst and whether you want to call it urgency from their perspective, that a lot of other teams don't have to deal with. So that's part of it. I don't think it's a shit show from the standpoint of this is common in the NFL from the standpoint of when things don't go well, you know, it's called the pendulum theory, you go in the other direction. So obviously the offense didn't go well and they're going into another direction. Now, whether you agree with that or disagree with that, I think depends on how you frame it. I think most people, probably 95%, maybe even more of people would agree that they needed to change the offense. And that's all anybody talked about during the season. Then when you get into some of the ugliness of changing the offense, which is the Jeff Stoutland stuff and saying, well, oh, by the way, here's the unintended consequences or the start of the unintended consequences. I think people start to turn and say, how could you get rid of, there's so many people who say, how could you get rid of Jeff Stoutland? Well, if he's not on board with those offensive changes you guys all wanted, that's how you get rid of Jeff Stoutland. And even that is not framing it the right way, because the Eagles did want him back as the offensive line coach, and he wanted to go in a different direction because he didn't want to be on board with what they're doing. Simply, to put it as simply as possible. Now, who's right? I think for the talent on hand at this moment, because they were built for the prior offense, Jeff is right. But is that the long-term answer? There's got to be some difficult times. The old adage to take a step back, to take two forward, that's where the Eagles might be. But the problem is, how patient are the Eagles going to be they take another step back, because remember, 11 wins, NFC East Championship, week 1 playoff loss is not acceptable, and you're taking another step back from that unacceptable finish, maybe it looks like 8 wins, maybe it looks like 9 wins, maybe you don't make the playoffs. Is everyone going to have the patience to say, well, this was a growing period? Now maybe they draft well for this offense. Maybe they bring in players who fit this offense. Maybe they keep getting better and better. In a year or two, you take those 2 steps forward. That's a possibility. But I think for right now, in the immediacy, and it's not about the immediacy. It's about, it's about winning now. That's what the Eagles have created. And I think everybody's so disappointed because they look at what's about to unfold on Sunday and say, boy, if the Eagles played just like a little bit better on offense, they could beat the New England Patriots. If they played just a little bit better on offense, they could beat the Seattle Seahawks. So I think that's the framework everybody's at. But they didn't. They didn't play to that level. And is it from all the success that they've had over the past 5 seasons? I don't know. Is it worth completely shifting away from that? I get the aesthetics part of it. I get the people that want to see a more entertaining product. But I think, as I've said from the start, be careful what you wish for. From a logic standpoint, I don't understand the idea of doing what everybody else does. I don't like it. I've never liked it. I mentioned that before. I don't want the copycat. I don't want the Xerox copy. I want the original. So if you can get me Kyle Shanahan, by all means, I want to run the Kyle Shanahan offense. But you can't get me that. And now you're trying to replicate it with Sean Mannion and Josh Broussard and some of the other coaches they're going to bring in. I don't know if that's the way to go. But we'll see how that unfolds as we go deeper into the offseason. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of personnel discussions as well. Landon Dickerson, Lane Johnson, all of it is in the equation as far as, are guys going to be more willing to move on or more wanting to move on? Dallas Goedert, I think a lot of people look at that and say, well, guess what? He already took a $4 million financial haircut to come back last season. Now he's got the opportunity at 31 to make one last, probably 2-year contract at significant money. He's coming off a big year when it comes to touchdowns, even though had a down year when it comes to the other aspect of the position, maybe the more important aspect as far as the Eagles were concerned, the blocking part of it. So he was unlikely to come back anyway. But now that Jason Michael's not here and you've moved on from his good friend and longtime position coach, it probably makes it even less likely. We've been talking about AJ and we'll continue to talk about AJ throughout the offseason. I think the Eagles are going to try to talk him back for at least one more season simply because of the cap ramifications, but that's easier said than done. Maybe Sean Mannion can convince him that he's going to significantly change the offense, and that could help in that regard. It's going to be interesting to see how Lane Johnson and Landon Dickerson take Jeff Stoutland walking away. But I do think a lot of the players were on board with the fact that they needed to shift the concepts of the running game more towards under center last year, and they did improve. So maybe that softens that blow a little bit. And from there, we'll see. Those are some of the heavy personnel usage, but that's where we are. Don't know if Zander's coming back, so we're going to end it for now, and I'll see if he can get back and get things rolling. But this goofy setup can't do this for the entire show. So hopefully we will be back. If we do get back, I hope you stick around to join. Thanks everybody for fighting through it. And hopefully this won't be the last you see of us until Monday, and we'll try to get back on the air. But for now, thanks everybody.
What's going on, everybody? Sorry about that. Internet dropped down a little bit. Trying to get it back up. I should be back up now. So where did John go? He just left? All right, give me a sec. Where the hell did John go? He just texted me. I dropped off. I had no idea how to get the screen right. All right. Well, I'm sorry about that, everybody. Sorry about that, everybody. My internet dropped. I'm trying to fix it. I'm calling Xfinity. What's going on? Why is my internet down? So I'm back. Let's see if I get John back in here. I do have another segment I want to talk to him about. So what I miss? What did I miss, everybody? I think I was gone for a little bit too long here. All right. Zander taking a nap. No nap for me. Come on, man. Here we go. We got him back. We got him back.
Boy, I should have waited for 2 more stinking minutes, man. I'm like, well, I can't. I don't know how to get the second frame off.
Yeah, it's right over there on the side. You come on, media assets, and then you click the boop, boop. Come on, give that a go in case my internet ever drops off.
Where does it say media? Oh, media. Okay. Yeah, now I got it. Yeah, well, so there's
the newest ones, obviously the most recent.
Well, there's 90 of them here, dude. Yeah, with the double box.
Don't tell me my internet's going again.
Yeah, All right, let's see that. No,
there you go. That's an old one. That's better. Just click them off, and you just click hide. Can you hear me? Am I connected to you? My internet keeps going.
No, I can hear you right now. But I'm clicking. It's not working, dude. It's not. there's no hide anything.
Yeah, you click on one, it shows it or hides it. Go to the newest. Yeah, there you go. Boom. Now click it again. Boom, there you go, Johnny Mac.
But there's no one screen.
No, you just got to go solo. You just got to get rid of it entirely if you.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Where do you get so it had the 2 frames as we're doing stuff on it. How do you get rid of the second frame and there's only 1 frame? That's what I'm asking.
You get rid of the graphic because then you would have been full screen like this.
But how do you do that? How do you get rid of it completely?
Well, presumably you were full screen automatically because I wasn't here anymore, right?
No. That's what I'm saying.
I'll go back and rewatch what happened. Sorry about that, everybody. All right, John, where were we when I left? I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry I dropped out on you.
Oh, I don't know. I was going on for 15 minutes. I don't know. I forget, but we continued. Well, I continued to talk about the various things we've been talking about the show, most notably the shipped an offensive philosophy, which is going to be the biggest story of the offseason. Pretty significant. It already is, but and then you have which we traced on a little bit, talking about the passion of the fan base and the fact that every little thing turns into a big story on February 6th, which I think is a positive for the interest in the fan base, but it also becomes somewhat of an issue when you're trying to go through the normal issues of an off season and maybe some other teams don't have to go through, which we mentioned, talking about Landon Dickerson from that perspective. And then I I get a lot of people, and I would say almost, what would you say? 90, I said 95, it might even be higher % of this audience would want a different style of offense. But then Jeff Stoutland leaves and they're upset that Jeff Stoutland, which is understandable because he's a legend, but you can't change the offense and have Jeff Stoutland back. That's your first unintended consequence. That's what happened. So when you do something, there's always unintended consequences to every decision. And the first one was unfortunately a pretty franchise shifting one because everybody loves Stoutland so much. And it's like, well, if you want to go this direction with so many people want to go, you can't have Jeff Stoutland. He doesn't want to do it. So
he's gone now. So I get it.
Yeah. So you got to make these difficult decisions.
That's what I mean. You got rid of the coach in the room with some pedigree. Hopefully Sean Mannion and Josh Grizzard and Ryan Mahaffey know what the hell they're doing. All right. We're putting a lot of eggs in their basket. All right, John, final segment of the show. We got about 30 minutes.
Well, that's a great comment from Brian Fleming. I have to give him credit, which it was. J-Mac running StreamYard is like a Petulo offense. No, I'm much worse at running StreamYard than Kevin is running that offense.
Hey, you just pulled up that comment. I'm hands-free over here, John.
Well, I can do that. I've always known how to do that. I don't know how to manipulate the screens and stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, maybe I'll have to give you a quick rundown, but I think at this point you're like, I'm good on that. So, all right, this is my final thought on the final segment of the day. And we're going to talk about this system and the new scheme that they're going to install, at least by all means. It looks like they're by all the reports, by everything we're hearing, by everything you're hearing, it does seem like they are going to run this new scheme. Will the outside zone and the play action and pre-snap motion and the Shanahan system and all of these things, will it help Hurts or will it hurt Hurts?
Yeah, well, I mean, it doesn't fit him. That's what I would say. It doesn't fit him at all, which is what. But we can be honest with each other, or we can foot around the issue. This is the biggest issue of all. Like how anybody in any NFL building would think this offense is a proper fit for Jalen Hurts is mystifying me. That's why I can't believe Nick's on board with it.
So if I asked you, will this unlock Jalen or expose Jalen, would you answer expose?
Well, I don't like that word because I think it's I think it's like you could say the same thing about any quarterback. Is Matthew Stafford's the MVP of the league. He won the MVP last night. If you put Matthew Stafford in the Eagles offense, would you be exposing Matthew Stafford? I'll ask you. No, you'd be exposing you're a moron.
Yeah, but isn't it different because like Matthew Stafford's skill set is the main skill set of a quarterback to be able to throw the ball well.
So it's the main skill set from what people think is traditional quarterback play. I'm telling you, you have a unique player, and forget about that. Stop trying to make him into a traditional quarterback. Try to take advantage of what he does well, which they've done beautifully, I might add, for the most part. It is, of all the things, this is the most mystifying.
So are they doing to him what they're doing to Nick? They're putting him on an island, and if he sinks, it's easier to move on from him?
I think so. I'm going to start answering all Jalen Hurts questions that way. Now, I'm not picking on you. I'm just saying, you use that word. I don't like that word, exposing. You're exposing any quarterback if you put them in an offense that is not
right.
Designed to accentuate what they do well. So that's, because people lose their minds with Jalen Hurts, similar to AEW when I was talking about earlier. Very similar. You got this. It's very similar. It really is. You got this extremes on both sides who are just like, everything he does is great and he can do everything and he's the greatest thing that ever lived. And then you got the other side who's like, well, he can't play like what I think a traditional quarterback should play like. So he's not worth building around. And it's just, there's no common sense in the middle. They've already proven they can win at an extremely high level with the guy.
Don't you feel like, though, the offense that they ran, there was more to Jalen? Like, you could get more out of Jalen or no? I mean, I'm not saying you're going to turn him into Stafford, but can Sean Mannion get more out of the player? I think you can get more out of Jalen than what they asked him to do last year.
I think you could have a better year. I think everybody has.
Year.
Yeah, he had a big year in 2022. He had an efficient year in 2024. He had a decent year in 2023, but he turned it over too much. He didn't have a great second half to the season last year. You have those ups and downs. You have a good year. Can he have a better year? I think he will have a better year next year because he'll be hyper focused because he thinks he had a bad year, like everybody else. I've said that.
So this comment would be categorically false. He said, this guy, Original Philly, says the offense they ran had nothing to do with Jalen.
That the offense they ran had nothing to do with Jalen? Yeah, that is. I don't know if you could be 100% wrong, but that's 100%.
Original Phillies making.
How could you say it had nothing to do? The offense they ran, which was built around Jalen Hurts, had nothing to do with Jalen Hurts. I don't agree with that, to put it mildly. Now they're trying to go outside, not building around his skill set, which is, look, I said early on, there's two ways before I was convinced that they were going to shift dramatically. There's two ways this can go. You can either go the Kellen Moore route where you try to evolve some things. You try to get better at certain things you're deficient at. And you adjust from there. And, some things might work, some things might not work, and you adjust from there. And it worked ultimately to the point where they won the Super Bowl. Or you can go balls to the wall, hell to high water, and say, nope, we're playing this, and damn it, we're going to do it. And I did not think they would do that, but it seems like they're doing it. And so now it's like, well, you want to play Kyle Shanahan, so that means the ball's coming out on time. That means timing routes. That means anticipatory throwing. Good luck.
What do you think Sean Mannion thinks? I mean, he's watched Jalen enough. I'm sure he knows the player. I'm sure he's watching tape on him ever since he's been hired. What do you think he thinks then? I mean, in a way, if you're Sean Mannion and he thinks anything like you think, which I don't know if he does or not, boy, feels like he's set up to fail. No?
Well, I think Sean Mannion, if he's as smart as everybody says he is, he'll go the Kellen Moore route.
Big if.
Yeah. I think, to get the job, he's a 33-year-old guy with 2 years of coaching experience, telling what he thinks, they want to hear. But ultimately, again, if he's a good coach, he will, when the bullets start to fly, he will revert to what the quarterback and everybody else does well. And that's ultimately the rope-a-dope I was talking about with Nick Sirianni. Like, he'll play the game in the off season. And I'm going to be on here talking about OTAs, hopefully. We're all day to day. And I'm going to be here talking about training camp and the concepts, and there's more emotions, Zander, and everybody's going to be excited.
Prep for the season in the off season. If you're going to prep for an offense in the off season that you're not even going to run in the season, what the frick is the point?
Well, the off season, no. Training camp, yes.
Right.
Sort of if you get to, the final 2 weeks when we're kicked out. I think there's a lot of misinformation about football. One of the biggest things is like, well, when the schedule comes out, whenever it comes out, maybe it's whomever in week 1 that you're prepping for, Dallas. If it's Dallas again, week 1, from the beginning of training camp, when you're really prepping for them the final week, just like a regular season game, a little bit more, but not much. And Jim Schwartz taught me that, he's like, the off season is for teaching. Training camp is for evaluation. And the regular season is about preparation for the next opponent. That's it. Now there's a little bit of bleed over from at the early part of training camp. There's certainly some more teaching at the early part. But you're trying to evaluate what you have on the roster, what you do well, and all that kind of stuff. And then obviously as you get to regular season mode, it's about preparing for that opponent that week, nothing else. And that's what Nick Sirianni's excelled at, trying to win football games by any means necessary. Ultimately, I think as long as he's here, I don't think that changes. So that's my optimism. I think ultimately, again, if Sean Mannion's even half the coach people think he is, he will revert to what Jalen does well. And I think all this will slowly fade away. But, the point, I think it was.
Wait, though. If that happens, why the hell is Jeff Stoutland leaving?
Well, because they're trying to change the offense. They're trying to change the offense, and he doesn't want any part of it. Now, I forget who it was, but the first, and I didn't hear the comment, so I don't, but he mentioned Cosell saying Laurie was pissed. Yeah, I mean, he's pissed. That part's true. He always gets pissed in these types of situations. So right now you're in try to placate the owner territory, which is fine on February 6th. If you're still trying to placate the owner on September 6th, you're probably in a bad situation.
Yeah, well, we will see what happens with it. I think it's going to be very interesting to see. So you think they're going to end up reverting back? What will that mean for the team? I mean, this is a lot of changes they're making, John. Look, it's one thing to talk about it in theory. It's another thing to hire an entire staff for a new scheme. And then you're saying they're going to revert back if Sean Mannion's a good coach?
Yeah, if he's a good coach. If he's a bad coach, he's going to pound the square peg in the round hole, and he's going to try, hey, Jalen, 7-step drop, get the ball out. Good luck with that.
How many wins is this team going to have next year?
Well, I assume Sean Mannion's a good coach, so I think they're going to have a bounce back year. And again, there's so much. I realize people want to go there, but you have no idea who's going to be on this team. I don't know if AJ's going to be here. I don't know if Lane's going to be here. I don't know if Landon now is going to be here. I don't know who the draft picks are. I don't know who they're signing.
I get it. I'm just saying, based on what you're saying, I mean, it feels like it's the beginning of the end. I mean, they're changing everything. You're saying the only way to be a good coach is to basically go back. And I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying that's going to create a conflict bigger than just losing.
No, the only way to be a good coach isn't to go back. It's to take advantage of what you have.
Right.
Now, until the Eagles change what they have, and until they change what they have, they have to accentuate what they have. And people think that's phenomenal talent to begin with. So all you have to do, if you do have all those guys back, AJ, Lane, Landon, all you have to do is accentuate that talent, which is what I think Sean Mannion will do. What you don't want is, again, if you look at it from the other side and pick whatever quarterback you want to pick, I use Matthew Stafford because he's the MVP. Nobody asked that question because obviously you had a successful season, you're the MVP. But even if you go down to a quarterback that had a mediocre season, let's use Sam Darnold. Are you putting Sam Darnold in the Eagles system? I mean, what?
Yeah, but the reason that I don't like doing it like that is because that's not what quarterbacks aren't drafted for their running ability. Quarterbacks aren't signed for their running ability. Receivers are scouted, drafted, and signed because they can catch the ball and get open. Running backs are scouted, drafted, and signed because they can run the football. Quarterbacks are scouted, drafted, and signed because they can throw the football. No? You get what I'm saying? Like there's a crux.
Yeah, well, you got to get
you can add. Yes, there are other things you can do, of course, but you got to be able to do the main one.
People love to embrace the idea of Jalen Hurts' mindset. The standard is the standard. Win. They loved it. They love it, but they don't really love it. Because again, all these quarterbacks, and it's not quarterback versus quarterback. It's the team as a whole. But from the standpoint of success, obviously Jalen's had more success than anybody but maybe Patrick Mahomes, who, is even had a bad season this year because of circumstance. But they constantly want him to change. I know that. They constantly want him to.
It just sounds ridiculous in just the sentence you just said. He's had more success than most, except for Patrick Mahomes, and they want him to change.
Yeah.
Hello.
Well, but I mean, you hear it constantly.
I know. I get it.
Because people perceive what they want to perceive. You have to be a traditional quarterback. You have to be a traditional quarterback. You have to be a traditional quarterback.
No, but there's a baseline skill set, no?
Well, he does have a baseline skill set.
That's what I'm saying. I agree that he's got the skill set.
But he there's a difference from doing it. Again, what sets the Peyton Mannings and Tom Brady's and Drew Brees, who went in the Hall of Fame, apart is their consistency from week to week to week to week. He doesn't have that consistency. You can't just say you should be because you did it against Minnesota, so do it again.
Every week.
That's what sets those guys apart. Obviously, and he's played two of his best games on the biggest stage in the Super Bowls, two of his best games. And I would argue in the loss, he was much better than in the win. he doesn't do that from week to week. He isn't that kind of passer who can do it from week to week. His up weeks, yeah, he can do it. But there's too many down weeks. And that's why you're trying to maximize the up weeks and minimize the down weeks. How do you do that? You play into what he does well. And the key for him in the passing game is efficiency. It's key to him in every, part of offense is efficiency. But you can't turn him into those guys because he did it against Minnesota. I mean, you can point to it to make yourself feel better, but you're ignoring all the inconsistencies before and after. So it's like, it's like an NBA scorer who he scored 40 one night. Why can't he score 40 every night?
So how much is going to change? Like what? For the offense? Because we are assuming they're going to start with it changed. Now, maybe they do revert. How much of it will change? What looks different? And be as specific as you possibly can. Assume somebody listening has no idea what the Shanahan offense means. They have no clue what that means.
Well, number one, it's got to be, again, you got to have, it starts with the preparation. So, what kind of play designer is Sean Mannion? Number one, that's where it starts with. The far more important stuff happens behind the scenes. I talk about it all the time. But when you talk about the Shanahan offense and what everybody tries to copy, yeah, a lot of it is the motion stuff. A lot of it is, creating leverage with the motion stuff, formational stuff too. A ton of play action, ton of under center. The run game, which is what we were talking about, is why Jeff left is wide zone. So, think about you're trying to stretch everybody horizontally. So you have, and by the way, Saquon Barkley ain't Le'Veon Bell. You need a patient running back who's trying to stretch things out, take time, let the blocks develop, and then cut back. So you're talking about that. With the play action passing game, remember, that's about very consistent footwork and mechanics and 3 and 5 and 7 step drops. You got a lot of boots. You got a lot of keepers. Think about the Hassan Reddick play where Brock Purdy almost killed himself because he didn't get the ball out on time, because there's a lot of designs where the quarterback is responsible for the rusher. In other words, if there's a free rusher, well, that means you're responsible and the ball's got to come out. The motion, which everybody loves, the eye candy, that's used to decipher coverage matchups, which, by the way, Jalen, from all indications, likes to do that formationally, doesn't like to do it in that way. You saw how many issues they had getting to low in the shot clock, so to speak. That becomes more of an issue. It's designed to create leverage when it comes to getting receivers open. You obviously you're looking for the mismatches on defense. So if you have, a linebacker who can't cover a running back, or you're one of their corners are struggling. Kyle's very good at seeing those unfavorable matchups and taking advantage of it from an offensive perspective. While he does use 3 receivers a lot, he's more apt to use heavier personnel. So you might need a fullback. Kyle Juszczyk. They signed Carson Steele. There's going to be a decent amount of tight ends, so you have no tight ends. As far as what everybody cares about, and that's the passing game. I mean, a lot of long designing plays, a lot of 3-level concepts, a lot of vertical stuff that open up the underneath stuff. There's, one thing funny, because hot routes became a thing.
Yeah.
In Kyle's offense, they don't use a lot of hot routes. And that relies on what I was saying about the Purdy play with Hassan Reddick, that the quarterback's got to recognize where the unblocked guy is, and all the sight adjustments of cutting things off and getting the ball out than traditional hot routes. It's very complicated. And it will take years to master. From not only the quarterback, the coaches. It's like Vic on defense. And I think, I think be careful what the hell you wish for.
You got one of those J-Mac grins on your face.
This does not fit the Philadelphia Eagles at all. At all. Now you can start adjusting and drafting players to fit, the manufactured touches. You don't have that player. You don't have Christian McCaffrey to run angle routes and out of the backfield, and you don't have that. It ain't easy to find a player like that, but I think it's more likely they end up going more the McVay version, which is a little bit less complicated. Simply because, it's going to take too much time to get up to speed, I think, in this particular one, but those are some of the things that are sort of key parts to his offensive philosophy.
The Rams, they change often. They change. They changed this year.
Well, they don't change. They don't change often. They changed this year. They changed this year
because they have flexibility.
Well, and Sean's a good offensive coach. I think people overemphasize him as a head coach, but he's a great.
You're kind of a McVay hater, a little bit.
No, I'm not. I just think it's ridiculous. If you've seen it, how many coaches have been hired off the Sean McVay because they coach with Sean McVay? And I think you've seen him. He did everything humanly possible to lose, to lose that game against Chicago in the playoffs. It's just a shit show of game management. But offensively, he's great. But the ironic thing about Sean McVay is he uses the same route combinations like all the time. And that's what everybody hates here. But he changes formations. He changes personnel.
He does use
them, but he uses the same. And this is on record. He uses the same 10 or 12 route concepts all the time. He literally calls his offense. He tells the players, illusion of complexity. You make it look complex, but it's easy for you. And he's very good at it. And this year he did ship to he is much simpler than Kyle, and that's why I think it's going to be more McVay like. This year he shipped it because they had, when Devontae Adams got injured, they played a lot of 13 personnel. They weren't as deep at wide receiver. They had a bunch of tight ends, and he deserves the credit. But again, he's using the same 10 route combinations with different personnel. That's it. That's it. And the running game is all wide zone, just like Shanahan, which is, trying to stretch people and cut it back. And they have a running back, Kyron Williams, who is patient and stretches people and cuts it back. Also fumbles too much, but
I think he had a better year with that. You're going to hold that against him still?
Yeah, well, too many big time fumbles in big situations. But he was better this year. There was no doubt about it. But obviously they used a lot of motion, pre-snap motion for to figure out coverage. Under center, a lot of they probably, elevate. They did a lot more, to his credit as well. A lot more of what the Eagles did in the running game this year, because they had so many tight ends on the field. So they used more pin and pull stuff. They used more double team stuff, combo blocks, because of all the tight ends. So Sean impressed me because he did some new things this year. But I just find it ironic because he's honest about his route concepts, and because people kill the Eagles for their lack of route. He admits he's got 10 or 12. That's it. It's like Jimmy Johnson. It's like he had 3 running plays, He's got 10 or 12, and he changes personnel and changes formation. I think of the two, I think you're more likely to get a McVay style offense than a Shanahan style offense.
We'll see what ends up happening with the Philadelphia Eagles this year. John, it's going to be a very interesting season next year and off season as we lead up to it. This was an interesting week. A lot of change this week, a lot of crazy storylines this week. Landon Dickerson today, we were talking about earlier in the show. If you missed that, could Landon retire? I guess that's not as out of the realm of possibility as we probably thought. I don't think that was on anybody's mind. Jeff Stoutland is out of here. And your offensive staff is starting to form, John. You got Sean Mannion. You got Ryan Mahaffey, who they brought in yesterday to be the run game coordinator and the tight ends coach.
Ryan Mahaffey. We didn't talk enough about Ryan Mahaffey. He's a wide receivers coach for the last 2 years, and now he's the Philadelphia Eagles run game coordinator.
Replacing Jeff Stoutland.
What a world. What a world. I should have applied for that job.
Yeah, you should have. You should have, J-Mac.
I'm too old. They're not going to hire me.
Dude, you're making me be a doom and gloom about this season. I think we might be cooked after listening.
What? The guy, I'm not. He's got a unique background. I know we got to go, but he's got a unique background. Because he's coached tight ends, he's coached receivers, he's coached the offensive line for a brief period, and he's coached wide receivers. So it's rare that you see somebody bounce around like that. He was also an offensive coordinator in college, lower, northern Iowa, but still. But he goes from assistant offensive line coach in Green Bay to wide receivers coach. He was the wide receivers coach in 2024 and 2025, and now he's the Philadelphia Eagles run game coordinator and tight ends coach. Look, a lot of guys, especially younger in their career, some of them coach offense, some of them coach defense. They go both sides. The best coaches know it, all the positions. So there's a lot of positive to that, but it's just very rare where you see somebody go from a wide receivers coach to a run game coordinator and then replace Jeff Stoutland. But clearly they want a guy who understands the scheme they want to run, and he does. So is he a better run game coordinator than Jeff Stoutland? Probably not. But is he a better run game coordinator in this scheme? Probably. Not probably, because Jeff doesn't want to run it.
Man, it's going to be interesting. John, recap real quick the coaching. So what's the changes then? Is Leffler out? He's out, right? I saw somebody report it yesterday, but it wasn't like a Philly guy or like what? I don't know. I forget who it was.
Well, he's obviously out. I haven't seen anybody report it. They hired. They're interviewing quarterbacks.
It was like Football Scoop, who's Scott Roussel. I don't know if you know who that is.
Oh yeah, Football Scoop knows what he's talking about. So if he reported it,
he put out that Eagles are parting ways with quarterback Scott Leffler, according to Football.
Yeah,
Scoop.
I mean, yeah, Football Scoop is very in tune to the college stuff. So yeah, they know, and obviously, yeah, I mean, there's no secret they were moving on. And the same thing, they haven't actually moved on from Parks Frazier as the passing game coordinator, but they hired a passing game coordinator. So Parks Frazier isn't going to be back. And they hired a tight ends coach. So Jason Michael isn't going to be back, but they haven't. And there's a possibility guys can shift positions. So you can't say until it's official. You can't say with 100%, but you can be pretty comfortable saying, yeah, that Scott Leffler is not going to be back.
So Leffler's out. Parks Frazier's out. Stoutland is out. Jason Michael's out. Everybody's out. Everybody's gone.
Yeah,
Offense is gone.
They're changing. They're changing the offense.
Yep. We'll see. All right, John, your final thoughts on a chaotic week in Eagle Land.
My final thoughts are I got to figure out how to work StreamYard better. Case of emergency.
Case of emergency. I go down. We're cooked.
Look at the stuff here at the bottom. Let me see. Does this work? No. What is that? What did I do?
No. It's the graphic. There's screens, which is you and I, and then there's overlays. So graphics that lay on top of our screens.
I get it, but what I need.
What no, I'm saying is, even if you become full screen, but the graphic is still there, you're split screen. See that? Is this what it looked like when I left?
Yes.
This is presumably what it looked like when I left.
Yes.
Now, if you go to the media assets and click off the screen, the one I showed you, the last one, I deleted a couple of them.
All right, there we go.
There you go.
All right.
Now you're no.
There we go. There we go. That's all I was looking for. That's all I need.
You kind of dropped the graphic. It's the overlay. It's the overlay that was your problem, because that will stay above everything. That's what that means, basically, overlay. All right, John, a little StreamYard,
back.
Little StreamYard lesson for you on the way out the door. John, have a good weekend, my friend. If we have breaking news, I'll talk to you. I doubt it. Actually, if we get breaking news in the middle of a Saturday, which I don't think we will, I will not be available. I have pre-Cana tomorrow. So I have an all-day event tomorrow. I am nowhere near the computer for the first time in a long time.
All right. Well, enjoy getting away. This team will probably, I mean, at this point, so if you hire a running back coach or a wide receivers coach, it's not exactly groundbreaking. So I think most of the big stuff, I think you'll be fine. I think you'll be fine.
We'll see. All right, John, good show, man. I'll talk to you on Monday.
All right, see y'all.
All right, thanks, dude. There's Johnny Mac, John McMullen joining us right here on Birds 365. Good show today. Sorry, everybody, about my internet dropout. I think I got it all fixed up, squared away now. I do apologize for that. It was out longer than I expected it to be out. Okay, so I do apologize for that. Appreciate J Mac. Fleming, stop it. Oh man, there's too much shit, Fleming. You got me laughing now, man. Oh crap. There's a lot going on in Eagle Land, brothers and sisters. All right. You're not there. You're not. There's a lot going on in Eagle Land. All right. There's a lot going on in Eagle Land, and I'm hopeful that the Eagles will be able to pull through. We'll be able to prevail. We'll be able to have a good year. John was pretty doomer on it, though, wasn't he? So tomorrow, Sirianni. I know, the intern, that's how it would go. My luck, that's how it would go. I don't do shows every single day, but if something happens, I always make the availability. Always. Tomorrow is the first day I'm actually not, I actually will not be able to do it. It doesn't matter what happens. I don't have my phone. I don't have my computer. I don't have anything. I can't even see if it happens. All right. 78 days to the draft. You get it all on 365. Injury, hiring, firing, and StreamYard 101. Yes, sir. Riding the bench. Hope you're doing well, brother. Good to see you in here. Play the yell sound for J-Mac. I should have. This is what I should have done. I should have played it. It's funny is John's a smart guy. It's not hard. It's not hard. It's like is as easy as it gets. It's like clicking through. It's like clicking through any of the most basic shit on your phone. Clicking through the cell phone app on your phone or the phone app to call somebody. J-Mac seems quite optimistic. What? Wait a second. Is that your takeaway from J? I had the opposite takeaway. Did anybody else have this takeaway that John seems optimistic? Pre-Cana, I'm a Catholic, bro. Pre-Cana is like you do it before you get married in the Catholic Church. So you go, you meet with, you do stuff at the rectory, you meet with everybody. It's a Catholic thing. That's what it is. I'm excited for it though, actually. I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be pretty dope to do with my fiance. I'm still looking forward to it for sure. So that's what it is though. Zander, I went through pre-K to 40. Big Mike, God bless you, brother. Hopefully you are still married to the same beautiful woman that you married 40 years ago. J-Mac is telling you Philly is in the dark ages. That's what it sounds like. Gary, I'm at the point where I don't give an F. If it's different than the past 4 years, cool. I hear you. All right, I hear you. They're going to ask me hard-hitting questions. Fleming, and I will have no answers. Just kidding, Fleming. I always got fucking answers. All right? In fact, the priest might be watching now. He's going to grill me for cursing on the show. I always got answers, Fleming. All right? They might not be the right answers, but I got them. I'm only optimistic because I can't see the Eagles' offense getting worse. Basically the same talent. That's fair. They could turn the ball over a lot more. Nice, E. Congrats. Thanks, bro. Appreciate it. Yes, I am, brother. Good stuff, Big Mike. Good stuff. Fleming, dude, you got to chill, bro. Fleming is got to chill. I'll say that. Now Hurt Season says, I'm excited to see the offense we've seen to not see the offense we've seen for 2.5 years. Me too. That's a good way to look at it. Oh, the offense is going to be worse. Sig Lord is doom and gloom. Same talent. Our O-line is a mess. I agree with you, Twiz. Yo, how about that Landon Dickerson thing? John kind of wanted to poo-poo it, but I don't know. McLean doesn't really put shit out there that McLean doesn't really put shit out there like that. That's crazy. That must be a real thing. That must be a real thing. We're doomed. O-line walking out the door with no way to replace him. I didn't expect to hear that either. Gary says, we had 5 turnovers against the Chargers, still almost won and had a shit offense. That's true. Yeah, but Gary, that's not how you want to live every week, bro. Here's Jerry. What's up, Jerry? Jerry checking in. Listen, the passing has looked terrible for 2 years. Something had to be done. If Hurts can't handle it, it's time to move on. Well, I think that's how they're thinking about it. We'll see. Mike, what's up, Mike? Big Z, if we lose Dickerson, do you think they bring him back then, or is he not a scheme? Are you talking about Becton? Bring back Becton, I assume. Then, or is he not a scheme fit anymore? He's probably not a scheme fit anymore either. All that sitting, standing, and kneeling. Rasputin says, I looked more lost in KP on that 4th down play than when I had to take my kid to get baptized in my wife's Catholic church. Well, you ought to read about the Catholic Church, the beauty of the Catholic Church. My favorite part about my life is my Catholic faith. I absolutely love the Catholic faith. Doesn't mean it's perfect. It doesn't mean it has been perfect. I don't know, people always hit me with that. Well, what do you think about this? I'm like, yeah, all right. Not perfect. Any man-made institution is not perfect. Or man-sustained institution, I should say. Christ-made institution, man-made. Man sustains, though. Here's Fleming. Sitting, standing, and kneeling is Nick Sirianni's job. Yeah. I just didn't know the ceremonies. Yeah, I got you. I mean, if you don't know it, you're not going to know it. Yeah. I love it, though. I'm just saying. I love it. I think it's very powerful. Very powerful. The only religion, the only sector of Christianity that dates directly, the succession can traces back directly to Christ. Yeah, any institution run by men is not perfect. Correct, David. Here's Sig Lord. Embiid wanted the Sixers to make a trade. They listened, and Epstein's pal decided to send McCain to OKC. Oh, investigate Josh Harris. What's going on with the Sixers, man? I haven't watched the last 10 games. I got to check back in. I'll check back in. I did see that they traded McCain. I told you guys that when they drafted that guy. I'm like, that guy's not going to be here long. I said that. Everybody got mad at me. Remember in the draft? It was 2 years ago. Yeah, I remember it. Jesus is king. Yes, sir. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I apologize for my internet today. Didn't work so well. I fucked it all up. I messed it all up. Sorry about that. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget, all right? Twiz, you're right about Catholics bending the knee too much. Look at Notre Dame. I criticize Notre Dame for that same reason. Twiz. They tell the traditional people that they shouldn't be so traditional. I think it's bullshit. I agree with you, Twiz. All right, guys. I love all you guys. Appreciate it. Hit the like button. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl. I'm going to take the Patriots. I forgot to ask John. I can't believe it, but we all know he's picking the Seahawks. I'm taking the Patriots. I know. The Seahawks are the better team. I know. I like the Patriots. I like Drake May. I like Mike Vrabel. I like Milton Williams. I think Stephon Diggs had a great year. I like the Pats to win the game. All right. I understand I'm picking the underdog. I understand it's not likely or it's less likely than picking the Seahawks, but give me the Pats. Give me the Pats. Give me Drake May. Give me Mike Vrabel. Enjoy the Super Bowl. It's banging. I have my setup this weekend. I'm going to have me and my fiance. We're not going to be – now, this is going to sound weird to some people. I'm a loner. I like to – I don't need a lot of stimulation. I like hanging out with my brother and my sisters and my family. And outside of that, I don't really – I certainly don't need to be around people all the time. I don't need stimulation from friends. I don't need social interaction as much as some might. I'm good. I love to be alone. I love to eat, and I love to be with just my fiance too. I love to be home. All right. I like to be in my environment. So this weekend for the Super Bowl, I have me, my fiance. That's it. An 85-inch TV, and my fiance, who's an amazing cook. I mean, she cooks up stuff. She teaches shit learns stuff on the fly. She's amazing. I'm blessed because I need a good cook. I came from a good cook. My mom is my mom's 100% Italian. That tells you all you need to know. All right, so I'm spoiled with food. Well, my future wife is just as good. And she went on you know how on Instagram they have those posts that go viral? People make these Instagram foods and they say perfect for the Super Bowl. So we went through them. She went through them and sent me them. of all these like sick foods that look so good for the Super Bowl. And so she's got like a list of 5 things that she's going to whip up for us. And we're going to enjoy the Super Bowl together. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be an awesome game. It's going to be an awesome day because I'm going to go just hang out with my fiance, eat banging food, relax, work probably a little bit, do some things. So I appreciate all you guys being here. Actually, I just told you guys how much sometimes I don't need social interaction. You know, sometimes I get off the show and I'm like, ugh. Like this is my emotional, this is my social interaction is talking with you guys. That's it. That's where I get it. It satisfies my quota more than enough. All right. So that's it. But I do love all you guys and I do appreciate all you guys, including you listening. All right. Thank you all. It's been a good year for the Eagles. Not really, but it's been a good year covering the Eagles. And I think there's a lot coming up, man. I really think there's a lot coming up. So I don't know if it's going to be good or it's going to be bad, but we're going to be here for the ride. All right, we're going to be here for the ride. Gary says, shut up, Gary. Fuck you, Gary. You want to fuck with me, Gary? Fuck you, Gary. I'm just kidding. Love you, brother. All right, man. See you next time, everybody. Enjoy the Super Bowl, all right?
EAGLES. Eagles.